So if Drew Carey decided to make himself look like Mimi from the Drew Carey show, my guess is you would end up with this.
Damn!
So, hello everyone. Jesus, I sound like Charlotte on the web. Um, we had an earthquake here Saturday night. It was the first earthquake I've ever felt, so it was kind of bizarre. Woke up, bed's just shaking, and I honestly thought that my dogs were playing on my bed, and then I looked up and saw Florian, who was visibly afraid, and I said, half asleep. What's going on? And she says, it is an earthquake. And I said, oh, okay. And went back to sleep. I think I woke up to a half dozen or so messages asking me if I was okay, which I was. It was about about 120 miles off the coast of the island I live on. It was actually the epicenter was in the ocean, but we felt the aftershocks and the tremors. Actually, there was a tremor last night also. Um, so I'm just going to get right into it. I heard about a situation involving, is it Josh C? I guess he put the C in his name. And he was being critical, I guess, of Welsh Rose. And, everybody has their camp that they're in. If you're Team Josh, if you're not Team Josh. And quite frankly, I have friends on both sides of this situation. I was told that Roadhog was doing a podcast about it, so I decided to take a peek. And yeah, it wasn't a bad podcast. Let me start by saying that. I mean, unless you were Team Josh or whatever, or some other person that they were referring to as it's Pat. If you were on their team, then you probably would not have enjoyed the podcast. And I'm not saying I actually enjoyed it, but it wasn't a bad podcast. And I say it wasn't a bad podcast because he actually talked about the issue involving Josh doing a live stream and what happened after that, where I guess a pre-adolescent male came out from a bedroom in nothing but underwear. That situation probably is personified in Josh's application of makeup, where it was bizarre, awkward, uncomfortable. You can have a whole bunch of different ways you can say it. Hey D, what's going on, you sexy Texan? um, Listening in between all the insults being thrown around. And again, that was Roadhog being Roadhog. I mean, 2 years ago, it wouldn't have phased me at all, but I had to kind of block out the comments that some of the comments he was making. That's all we can do, dear. Live life day by day, one day at a time. Hey, I saw your thing on IG about you having the best wife, and I wanted to say that that's awesome. I'm really glad that you're happy. You deserve all your happiness, and tell your wife I'm still jealous of her, but in a positive, supportive way. So you know. um, Here's what I got from both sides of this particular story and from what I got from watching the Roadhog podcast. And if I'm wrong, like I say, correct me. If you have a comment, keep it respectful. I'll listen to it. We can have a discussion. This is what I got. Josh was doing a live stream and he was applying his makeup, and the little boy walked out, and Welsh Rose said to him that he should take. And I'm summarizing. I'm not going into a whole lot of detail about this, but she told me he should take the live stream down because it exposed the little boy pretty much semi-nude. I mean, all he had on was his underwear. I saw it. Uh, it looked like just a awkward situation. I don't think there was any malice or forethought involved in it, but like I wasn't there, so that's just my opinion. I don't think there was any malicious intent. But then Josh denied that the little boy was even in view of camera, and then denied that he was naked, and then he unleashed this verbal assault against Welsh Rose. And to my understanding, police were called. They did do an inquiry, things of that nature. One of the things that I noticed in that podcast on Roadhog's channel really didn't have anything to do with Roadhog. Like, this isn't a bash Roadhog kind of thing. If anybody came in here for that, you might as well just leave now. Like, I don't have anything against Roadhog. I mean, I did, but I don't now. I looked at the people that were in the chat, and looking at the people that were in the chat, I noticed that it was like, you know, the same cast of characters, I guess you would call it. And I noticed that people that were once enemies are now allies, and people that were once allies are now enemies. And give you an example, Sunshinery is no longer friends with Josh. And I thought 2 years ago their friendship was as solid as JJ and Selfie Queen Cindy. But my, how times have changed. I think. Oh, look, if you're the only one that's making comments, it's fine with me. Looking at that just reminded me of something, and it reminded me of the WWE. And it reminded me of when I actually used to watch professional wrestling some 25, 26 years ago. Was the last time I paid any attention to it. I think the last, what, I think WCW was still an active promotion the last time I paid any attention to professional wrestling. And there you had your fan favorites, and then you had your hated wrestlers, and then sometimes your hated wrestlers could become fan favorites, and then your fan favorites could become your hated wrestlers. It seemed all scripted. Yeah, D, that's what I'm talking about. I don't get how, you know, this is happening in real life where it's scripted in the WWE. Like they sit down, they have production meetings, and they talk about what character is going to do what. But here it's actually real people doing real things, but it comes off as scripted. And it honestly doesn't make sense to me. But getting back to the Josh situation, one of the people that I talked to, well, I tell you what, I talked to one person that, you know, doesn't like Josh, and I talked to another person that actually does like Josh. And one of the things that I noticed was that people on the side of Josh were minimizing what happened. And I can't honestly say that the people that don't like Josh were exaggerating what happened in regards to his live stream where a little boy walked out in front of the camera. I didn't get an over exaggeration, but I did get in defense of Josh a lot of minimizing of what happened. I don't think, hello, Jazz, dear. Do I think Josh is a pedo? Absolutely not. Do I think Josh made poor judgment during that live stream? Absolutely. Do I think, because one of the things that someone said to me when they were expressing, and I'm being nice and putting it this way, expressing their displeasure in Roadhog making a live stream regarding this situation, and they referred to Josh as being harmless. So let me say this: Josh isn't harmless. So we need to understand that. Let me give you an example of a person who is harmless. And a lot of you people know who it is when I say the name Adam Harris. See, Adam Harris is not a YouTuber, he's just a viewer of the channels within that community. And Adam Harris has never said a nice thing about anybody. Adam Harris both defines and defies the culture of Philadelphia. He defines the culture of Philadelphia, where it's the city of brotherly love and, you know, you exhibit kindness and care, but he defies it when he's under attack or he's being mistreated and he turns the other cheek. That's not a Philadelphia thing. Uh, Adam Harris is a one of a kind Philadelphian. Hey, Violet. Hey, Yaya. How you guys doing? Josh was part of a conspiracy against me in 2021. And we talked about it after the fact, months and months and months later, and we formed, I guess, a truce or whatever. So people can change. Wait, I got a comment from Yaya. I didn't even look at it. Josh harasses and bullies people when they defend themselves. He uses his orientation or his mental health as a shield. He lied about the child. Okay, Jazz, what are you saying? And if I'm right, because I stuck up for my friend, I was also called a pedo. Wow. So let me address these one at a time. So we'll go with Yaya's first. Nice picture, by the way, Yaya. I'm saying Josh is not harmless because he participated in something that was intended to, if not hurt my feelings, it was definitely made to discredit my character that caused harm. So he's not harmless. Josh's mental health, hey, look, I've never hidden my mental illness. I've never pretended that I don't have severe post traumatic stress disorder. I've never denied the fact that because of that, I have bipolar disorder and severe ADHD. You know, I don't use it as a crutch. Nobody's ever heard me say, "Hey, I said that and I'm sorry, but it's because I have." No, I still have to own the things that I've done. And I'm not coming here to bash Josh. I'm not coming here to do that. I'm just talking about. Oh, hold on, hold on. Anyone has the right to talk about their mental health. You're absolutely right, Violet. Everybody has the right to talk about their mental health, but nobody has the right to justify bad acts on their mental health if they know what they're doing is a bad act before they do it. See, I've never seen Josh and his mental health as a deficiency for him. I thought he was too passive when Real Entertainment News used to come on his channel and say the most heinous things. But I just did not see Josh as mentally defective, mentally deficient. And like I said, I doubt very seriously there's anybody, and I mean, I doubt if there is absolutely anybody in this community that doesn't have some level of mental health issues. I mean, that's probably the one common thread that we all have, all of us. And I think that's kind of what brought us together. But then once you get past that, you start noticing differences that may either trigger your mental health issues or in a positive way stimulate your mental health issues. And that could be in a negative or positive way. You know, see, Violet, like I said, this is where I disagree because he did it to me when he was in collusion with Jackie Sunshine and JJ and Police Wife Life and Charlotte on the Web. And they had that video live stream. What was it called? The Truth with the Proof. And then in parentheses, as we know it. And they spent that live stream saying that I was a bully and that I was threatening. And they played against racial stereotypes in doing that. And it did bother me. But this was in response to me saying that I was leaving the community because of why and how they ghosted me. So, to that, he's not harmless. Now, he regretted, or he had said that he regretted doing what he did, and it's over, you know. But if we're talking about his mental health, the things that he attacked about Welsh Rose didn't show any empathy for her mental health. If what they said he said about her is true. So he attacked Welsh, he attacked Muzz, that's his tactic, but if his looks are mentioned, he throws a fit. Get over it. Okay, so everybody take a time out for a second. We'll talk about the trauma vulture, aka Muzz Vermoo. Muzz is clearly mentally ill. So if we want to show compassion for mental health, whether we like Muzz or not, you got to take into consideration it's not a mental health issue with Muzz. She is mentally ill. I've never seen anything like that in my entire life, and I've been dealing in behavioral health since 1993. The term trauma vulture applies to Muzz because Muzz, who had no contact with Welsh Rose, knew Welsh Rose was in a hurtful situation dealing with Josh and reached out to her. It's like that vulture just circling around to see if there's still life down there. See what they can do. Josh, if you listen to this, let me say this. You have to take accountability for the mistake you made. I'm not here to condemn you. I'm not here to condemn anybody. But you made a mistake. You it, you can't get upset when you apply makeup like this and people make comments. That that's just not see, you want to wear makeup and look like that, it's fine. But when you open the door for people to see you doing this, well, I mean, everybody's not your friend. And even your friends might, make comments about the application of your makeup. And there's tutorials out there. Jeffree Star, James Charles, but you went after somebody about their looks because you were upset that they said to you, take the stream down because they were concerned about the little boy whose face was seen on camera and the fact that he's walking in a live stream for adults in his underwear. You gotta see the concern and the point that's being made. I don't know if you have children. I know Welsh Rose has children, and I know she came from a place of concern. I don't know. It doesn't even matter if you like a person or not. But what she said, I agree with. That it wasn't okay. You know, I remember last year, Amber from that Amber channel actually was going on the internet and clicked onto a website and it exposed breasts. They weren't in a pornographic fashion, but they were breasts. And she immediately shut that live stream down, privated it, I assume, and then started a new one. And what I did see in the Roadhog podcast was that you put your hand over the camera, which reasonably indicated you knew it wasn't okay for him to be out there in that moment. And if it was an adult male or an adult female in their underwear, yeah, perhaps you could, oh, sorry about that. But it was a child. And we're seeing now that things like this can come back and affect a person's emotions years later. Hey, Maz's actions have zero to do with her looks, but look at his brows. He's a clown to attack Welsh's motherhood. Well, no, he shouldn't attack anybody's motherhood. I agree. And looking at this, I mean, just critiquing the makeup application, it made me think this is what Drew Carey would look like if he tried to dress up as Mimi for Halloween. And he was in the middle of putting on his makeup. The other thing I thought about was Pogo the Clown, which was John Wayne Gacy's persona when he was a serial killer. And I'm not saying Josh is a serial killer, but I am saying that, when you do this, you know, you got to expect some pushback. And it's not because you're gay, it's not because you have autism, it's because you look like a clown. I mean, I can't imagine him looking like that and actually going on a serious date. I could be wrong. I don't think I'm wrong, but I could be wrong. I mean, I just don't think I'm wrong. But like I said, I could be. this community has basically come full circle for me. You know, the hatred, the animosity, the backbiting, the two-faced issues. It's all the same thing. I I look for progress. Like when I first joined the community, I guess it was the anti KJ community, and it was fun. And from there, it progressed into exploring other people's channels and building friendships and looking at different things. I mean, there's over 33 million channels on YouTube. There's so many different things that we could talk about collectively and debate peacefully and logically. But the hate that came about, the feuds with Real Entertainment News and BX Beast Boy, and then there was the thing against Charlotte on the web, and then there was a thing against Roadhog, and then there was a thing against Two Spirit. It's all negative. All right, so let's do this because this is going against my intentions. Where I think I'm done talking about Josh's makeup. Like I said, I'm not here to bash him. It's not about that. I'm not here to pick on Josh. But this is what I mean. He was friends at one time with Welsh Rose. He was friends at one time with Sunshiner. He was friends at one time with me. But this community takes that from people. It promotes hatred. And when you run out of things to hate, you will eventually cannibalize. And that's what this community has done. And like I said, this isn't anything against Roadhog. And to speak on Roadhog's podcast, let me just say this. Roadhog, if you enjoy what you do and the people enjoy what you do, keep doing it. If you enjoy what you do and people don't enjoy what you do, I encourage you to keep doing it. If you don't enjoy what you do, but the people enjoy what you do, I suggest you stop because it'll kill you. If you don't enjoy what you do and the people don't enjoy what you do, I think you should ask why. And that's all I would have to say to Roadhog. This podcast is a podcast. Before I reaffirmed my salvation in Christ, I wouldn't have had a problem listening to it. I mean, you got to keep fast forwarding through the little bits to get past, the name calling. But I did get information out of it. Like I said, I try to take something positive out of any situation I'm in. And I wasn't looking to watch Roadhog's live stream to find things to criticize him about because if I don't like Roadhog's podcast, I am free to not watch it. Therefore, I can't have an opinion besides I don't enjoy his podcast. So, hey Welsh Rose, how you doing, love? I hope all is well. God save the king. This is involving CPS traumatizing children because of hate or dislike is uncalled for. I would agree with that, Lynn Whispers. But I don't know what the child protective laws in the United Kingdom are. I can tell you this much. I worked as an officer in family court as a child advocate from 2006 to 2020. Sorry, 2019. Take that back. So that was what, 13 years? What happened on that live stream, had it happened in America, I'm not sure if it would have reached the level of an investigation, at least not in Pennsylvania. But at the same time, depending on what was told to the intake person that was taking the report. It could have. So let me try to frame it this way. If someone called me and said I was watching YouTube and this man was putting all his makeup on his face and he looked a little bizarre and he was drinking what looked like alcohol, and a little boy walks out in his underwear, and I'm concerned that that little boy is being exposed to inappropriate things, that could generate a look into it. But think about this. What Josh did was broadcast all over the world. So that means it's possible that more than one person calls CPS. So if I get that one report, I might take a look at it. But if I get 3 reports or 4 reports, I have to look at it. Because if something happened to that child, there's a record that I was informed about it. Now, to my knowledge, Welsh Rose stated, take the live stream down or I'm calling CPS. And I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, correct me if that's not what was said. But okay. Yeah, you stop that. Okay. We're not having an argument in chat, dear. Nobody's saying it's okay for Josh to attack anybody. Nobody's saying it's okay to attack Josh. That's not what we're talking about. Josh is a catalyst, and Roadhog's podcast was the venue for where I saw what my issue is, and that's all of the negativity in this community. And that wasn't Roadhog's fault. But a lot of people that I saw in his chat always complain about how things are so negative and how things are so terrible and how everybody's tearing everybody down. And it's all true. But a lot of these people are also participating in it. And okay, so I am correct. All right, thanks, Welsh Rose. So because of that, he understood that, at least in the opinion of one person that was bold enough to say, you got to take this down, he disregarded it. If somebody said to me, listen, you got to take that down, and we got to call somebody, like, that's not okay. It wasn't blackmail, it wasn't bribery, it wasn't extortion. I had been going back and forth with him for some time, and eventually I was peed and said, take it down in the next 2 hours or I'm contacting the police. So, what Welsh Rose is saying, there was a discussion about it. We got to look at a couple of things here. Welsh Rose is a mother, Josh is not a parent. Raising children, because I find myself doing it again, is a 24-hour-a-day job. The only time you can get rest is when your kid is safe in his bed sleeping and you're in the next room and you can keep an eye on him. Okay. That was a maternal instinct, I'm assuming, from Welsh Rose. Josh not having children and presumably not raising children doesn't have an appreciation for that kind of concern. And like I said, it didn't look malicious at all. It looked like this kid either go to take a comfort break or wanted to get a drink of water and open the door and whoa, there it was. It was awkward. I remember growing up as a kid, sometimes I'd come downstairs in my underwear and I didn't know my godmother was there because it was late at night, and then you kind of quickly run back up the stairs. That kid stood frozen like a deer in headlights. I won't judge anyone on looks, correct? It's a person's heart I look at, and for and people, correct. But I agree that should have been taken down ASAP for the child's safety, correct. I'm sorry my statements are off, but I'm trying my best to keep up with you all while these people yell over this game. Okay, when whispers, I know where you live and I know what game you're watching. If you love me or if you even like me a little bit, do not tell me because right now that's causing me anxiety. That exact same game, I know which one you're watching. I know. That was a concern with the little boy. Josh's reaction to it, in my opinion, he's trashing Welsh Rose and he's talking about her parenting. That was mean spirited and it wasn't harmless and it was wrong. And that's just my opinion on it. 1000%. And with many reasons, I was worried about another child being dragged across YouTube. For a month, I had concerns that child's friends would see it, which could have easily happened, as so many. And yeah, like I said, Welsh Rose, I agree with that. But like I also said, you weren't the only person that saw it. You may have been the only person to speak up about it, but you weren't the only person that saw it. And there could have been a boatload of other people that were looking to have an issue, contact the police. Josh, whether you like it or not, before that situation happened, there's a number of people out there that do not like you. You don't want to give ammunition to somebody that doesn't like you and is coming after you. And truth be told, you don't like Muzz. I don't know anybody that does. But this was something that, knowing the character that Muzz has and her mental illness, she could have easily taken and blown out of proportion. Who's to say she didn't herself contact the authorities where you live? But this is what I mean when I talk about the levels of hatred that just permeate this community. And I gotta take a break for just 30 seconds, so this will lead into what I'm about to say next.
It's another attack! They're not human! They're humanoids! Humanoids! The evil that lies within. Down in the fiery depths of the earth where nightmares begin. Who can stop them? Earth core, I hope! Humanoids! Humanoids! The evil that lies within.
Can Earth core stop this evil before it's too late?
Humanoids!
Okay, so just an anecdote, real quick, to lead into what I wanted to talk about next. Back in 2016, when Donald Trump got elected president, he had to sit down with President then Barack Obama to have a conversation, if you will, about the transition of power. And Barack Obama, being the gracious Barack Obama that he is, you know, extended friendship and cooperation and, accommodation for Donald Trump to bring in his new administration. But one of the things that Donald Trump was told by Barack Obama flat out was, I know you're hiring, your own people, but there's one person I strongly suggest you don't hire or bring onto your cabinet. Now, there were many people that were far from qualified in Donald Trump's administration: Ben Carson, Betsy DeVos, Rex Tillerman, the one on Saturday Night Live, that former dude from the Navy. I can't remember his name. The one that Melissa McCarthy always impersonates on Saturday Night Live. Anyway, it was none of those people. It wasn't even Steve Bannon he warned him about. It was Mike Flynn. And he told him to stay away from Mike Flynn because Mike Flynn has no friends. Mike Flynn, user of people, basically. And I say that to say this. Anybody that thinks Jackie Sunshine, aka Sunshinery, is their friend is fooling themselves. Do not trust her. Under any circumstances should you trust her. She has proven time and again not to be trustworthy. I would trust Muzz before I would trust Jackie Sunshine. And I wouldn't trust Muzz with anything. Like I said, I'm not here to bash anybody. I'm not going to go into a whole bunch of details. But if you guys are going to stay in this community, you need to understand that when you look at that circle of alliances and then opponents, adversaries, and then how it just interchanges, it's just not healthy. But one of the people that literally loves the chaos and the drama and the breaking up of friendships and cliques or what, it's definitely Sunshinery. And we want to talk about mental health. I always felt that she was using Josh, and I felt that he was her pawn. It wasn't the level of friendship like you see with JJ and Selfie Queen Cindy, even though JJ is definitely the aggressor out of the two. I never felt that Selfie Queen Cindy was being led like she was on a leash. And I definitely felt that Jackie Sunshine was doing that with Josh. Whatever spirited him to wake up and say, you know, hey, this isn't right or whatever. But like I said, when I first met Jackie Sunshine, I thought she was great. And I talked to her about ideas I wanted to have for making true crime videos, and she agreed to help me, and it was all talk. And when I was against the people that she was against, our relationship was thriving. But when I realized that, hey, I don't really have any valid reason to be against these people, that's when she turned on me. But it wasn't even in what I would consider a mature adult fashion where you could say, listen, if you're going to talk to them, I can't mess with you anymore, so take care. No, it was done in a very passive aggressive fashion. And for me, passive aggressive behavior is the defining definition in cowardice. And I was raised to never respect a coward under any circumstances because they will do anything to protect themselves. And that means throwing whomever they need to under the bus so they can get away from being accountable. And the hardest part of adulthood is accountability. Yeah. What? When you find one positive quality about Josh, I'll be back. Otherwise, he's stealing oxygen. Okay, so here's a positive quality about Josh. He's a human being. I don't like Josh, but I also don't dislike Josh. And what's being said about Josh at one time was said about me that they don't like how he speaks about women. And they've also said that about Roadhog. My thing is this, if he's attacking Muzz, he probably has reason to. Anybody that has a problem with Muzz probably has a valid reason to. My issue is not that he's attacking Muzz. I don't choose to attack Muzz simply because it's just not in me. I mean, to carry that around would just take years off my life. And I'm old enough. I plan on having another baby now that I found the right woman. So I got to be careful as to, what kind of negative energy I keep around me. It's not healthy for me to keep negative energy around me. You call it weak. I get so weak in the knees, I can hardly speak. I lose all control, and then something takes over. Oh, sorry. Mm, Wind Whispers just took me back like 30 years, so I just felt the moment to sing a song. So, with all that, I need to say something here, and it may be important to you, it may not be important to you, but I think because of how I was taken out of the community back in 2022 thanks to Muzz, it bothered me to where I felt I needed to come back. And I was fully conscious that I didn't have to. There was nobody to impress. But I didn't like the way I left because I didn't leave. I was hacked and removed because someone was upset with me for no reason whatsoever, except I called her out on her BS, which a friend should be able to say to another friend, albeit as long as it's respectful. But being back in this community, it's not good for me. And I honestly don't think it's good for anybody. Back in 2021, you had Stacy Bobbles and Kim S, and they would talk about, oh, they wanted to do live streams or podcasts about cults and true crime kind of things, which was fun. And then you had, words have power, telling everybody to hydrate and breathe, and that was cool. And then Charlotte on the web, pull up these stupid little cartoon clips that, were so bad. The jokes were so bad, you laughed at how bad the jokes were. Yeah, it was fun. But now it's just all hate fueled. I mean, and let me say this, which is very important. It's not even all the time the things that are being said that's negative. Well, let me say it this way. It's not always the things that are being said that is harmful, but it's the hypersensitivity of the people that's being spoken of. Nobody in this community seems to be able to laugh at themselves. And that's a problem because if you can't laugh at yourself, you honestly shouldn't feel okay to laugh at someone else. And I don't see that. And I was hoping to make things different. I mean, my subscriber count now isn't even 1/10 of what it was when I was into the hate and into the name calling and the insults and the jokes at other people's expense. And I'm fine with that. But I don't want to be in a community that isn't looking to build, it's just looking to condemn itself. You know, we got to look at it not just as YouTube commentators, but as YouTube community, the people that watch these different live streams. Why are we watching this? What can I take out of this that's, going to help me in my life or make me feel better about things? And you shouldn't feel better about yourself at someone else's expense. And like I said, there's a time and a place for these channels. My concern is all of the channels are going against each other in the same community. That doesn't make sense to me. It's just hurting for the sake of hurting people. So, like when Roadhog was talking about Julie Virgo, when he's naming all of these STDs, Roadhog has a broadcaster's voice. I mean, he's got a community, he's got a channel out there now, but if this was pre-YouTube, I would recommend he go to school for communications because he's got an awesome voice. And not expecting him to say what he said about Julie Virgo, it made me laugh. But not because it was Julie Virgo, but just because of how it was said. And just real quick about Julie Virgo, a lot of people come to her defense as if she's 19 years old. She's pushing 30. At what point Should she be held accountable for what she's doing and saying like an adult? All right, that was just real quick, just sidebar on that. Just had to say it. I gave up watching professional wrestling because it just didn't do anything for me anymore. Okay, this guy hates this guy, and while he's talking trash, the other guy he's talking trash about is going to come into the ring while his back's turned and hit him over the head with a chair, and then another person's going to come. That was thrilling when I was 13, 14, 10 years old. I'm in my 50s now. Wrestling is for a much younger generation, and it's good for them. Because everybody knows it's scripted now, so it's just like you're watching a live action drama. But what goes on in this community is causing real pain to people. It's destroying real lives. It's causing real scars. It's not scripted. The violence you see in the WWE is scripted. Yeah, granted, they, do get injured, but the intent is not to actually injure. But in this community, it is. And that's not okay. And I participated in it. I was guilty of it. If you want your community to grow, you got to stop going after the people in your community. And that's what I'm trying to say. Like I said, Road Hog, do you, be you, live you. Josh, you made a big mistake. The best way to get over that mistake is to acknowledge it and apologize for it. Never double down on a bad decision. That just makes it worse and makes you look stupid because everybody saw it. You know, whether it's a good live stream or a bad live stream, people are recording it. Whether or not they expose the bad things that's going on in that live stream or to manipulate it to make you look bad, even though you've done nothing wrong. And in this case, what happened with that little boy wasn't what was wrong. What was wrong is in how you handled it. And I'm not telling you how to feel about that. But what I am saying is it was even available for the police to see. Had it not been up there, that investigation would have been over with before it even started. Don't give people the ammunition to come after you. Make them work for it. Everybody check this out.
When I was 17, I dreamed of being king and having everything I wanted. But that was long ago, and the dreams did not unfold. So I'm still the king of nothing. When I was 17, I dreamed I gave a ring to a pretty queen, and then I held her. But that was slumber's fault, for I have no love at all, and have to listen to this poor fool say, I'm the king, I'm the king, I'm the king of nothing. If I could rule, I'd dance my cares away, find romance every day. I wouldn't have to listen to this poor fool say, I'm the king, I'm the king, I'm the king of nothing.
It was a folk band from the 70s. Seals and Crofts, actually. Pretty good group. They were friends with my grandmother. I don't know how she. Oh, they shared the same religion, the Baha'i faith, which was started in Iran. But that being a Muslim nation, they were persecuted there, kind of like the Christians were persecuted during the Holy Roman Empire. Anyway, I've found a new community, and it's a cross between true crime and lolcows. But the thing I like about the lolcows is that they know they're lolcows. And true crime has always been my passion, anyway, as a sociologist. I've met some wonderful people in this community that I'm going to be friends with until I take my last breath. But as far as being active in this community, I just I can't do it. I mean, I guess it was a blessing in disguise when Les had my channel taken down, because who knows how I'd be at this point, like, a year and a half later. And that's the thing. The feuds that were going on in 2021 have come full circle, and we're pushing 2024 now. And I'm sure these feuds were happening long before I joined in 2021. Doesn't help anybody. I wish you guys all the best. If we stay in contact off this channel, then that means we're going to stay in contact. Nothing about that is going to change. But it's time for me to go. And for those that understand what I'm saying, thank you for letting me say my piece. Thank you, everybody, for being respectful in the chat. Love you guys. May God bless. May you have your faith in the Holy Spirit, Lord, Savior Jesus Christ. Amen.